Super League under the control of our officials, but there will be no quick tap restarts on the 20-metre line. They will be controlled restarts. The referee will be back on the 30-metre line before he allows play to continue. That's the one major change. So Leon Williamson is ready, and so are we. And Thomas Bosk will get this Four Nations tournament underway with the kick-off. And Danny Maguire tips the ball in field to Jamie Peacock, and Peacock, the captain, on a typical driving run upfield for the first tackle.
It's important that the French really get into the English guys. They've got to try to just force the error, try to just make them a little bit nervous. They're expected to win easy tonight, are England, and they will want to just apply even more pressure.
Gareth Ellis, back from his season with West Tigers in the NRL. That's great tackling by the French early. They're not letting Peacock make any drive forward there. Here now is Scott Moore, just jinks away from Remy Casti, gets it away to Ellis, but the French are there in numbers. And Ellis, though, gets it away, but that is knocked forward. The referee will say play on because it's in French hands. Not the best opening set of six from England.
Just trying to force the pass when really they needed to just settle down. They got over the advantage line. They needed to get a good kick away, just to turn this French outfit around. Trying to be a little bit too clever early. Probably won't have impressed Tony Smith there.
Tony Smith, the England coach, the last defeat on home soil for England, 30-22 against New Zealand at Warrington some 4 years ago. France are on halfway. This is Kane Bentley. As Steve-O rightly said, and we talked in the build-up about this, the basis of this French side in Perpignan from the Catalan Dragons. There's only the number 7, James Wynne, in the starting lineup from the Lesignan side. And Kane Bentley at dummy half is 30 metres away from the English line. Bosk with a neat little chip down the line. Sean Briscoe will pick it up. And the referee was shouting for Jean-Philippe Bale to stay out of that action. But he was ahead of the kicker, Bobby Goldie making a note in the book. And the first penalty of the match for offside against Jean-Philippe Bale.
Not a bad little kick, though, back into the corner. Obviously not going to give it plenty of height. They know the quality of the fullback, Sean Briscoe.
White, go! Move! Back here.
That was Scott Moore. Here is Adrian Morley. Adrian Morley, who captained the English in Bridgend against the Welsh last weekend, and the penalty for interference at the play the ball for England.
Well, the Kiwi referee, Leon Williamson, very keen, and you could see there that Kane Bentley was dragging the arm, left arm interfering with the play the ball. It was obviously going to be a quick one by Adrian Morley. Now, will we see a set pattern move here? Maybe a couple of drives and then the switch. Sinfield, I think, will be the key figure.
Standing just wide of the ruck here, it will go to Morley first of all, I think, for the drive-in. No, they miss him out, and they find Myler, and Myler then gets the ball away to Gareth Ellis, and the French has to defend just 10 metres away from their own line. Ellis will play the ball here to Scott Moore. They wheel it left. That's Maguire. Fires the pass, but that's a very good tackle indeed by Vincent Duport. There was no way forward then for Michael Shenton. Maguire again finds Ellis. Ellis just drops the shoulder. Gareth Ellis gets England to within a metre or so of the line. Fourth tackle. Moore weighing the options up left and right. Fires the pass. A little dab to the in-goal area. Knock on, is it? Or offside, is it? Anyway, it will be brought back for a scrum and head and feed to the French.
Well, the first real option that they've got through, and it was Maguire's kick. Not a bad one either, just ricochets away, but you can see there that Adrian Morley was stood offside. Accidental, of course, but either way it gives them the head and feed at the scrum base.
I think Adrian Morley played at that ball, Steve. Well, this should be a penalty to the French. See? Well, maybe not. No, he tried to get the foot out of the way.
Yeah, I think the referee's got it absolutely spot on.
And here is Dimitri Pello. And he gets the penalty for the high shot. He's a danger. Is Dimitri Pello. Dangerous man. We've Saw him in the playoffs for the Catalan Dragons, scoring some spectacular tries. There's
that was
another
a high
shot.
one as well. Now then, well, we anticipated it slightly from the visitors.
Remy Casti feeling this.
12,
It was a
keep down.
lazy attempt, wasn't it?
Yo.
Burgess right over the top. Sinfield looked a touch high as well. Well, they're all fired up for it, and why not? When you play in your national colours.
You can't be conceding penalties early, though, to the likes of the
Just be aware,
Kiwis
man,
and
just
the
be aware.
Australians, Steve-O. That's 2 apiece.
That one. Move.
It's early days, Eddie. They've got to just try to sort and settle themselves in. They realise it wasn't the best display last week, OK? Most of the major players didn't play last weekend, but they've got to just take it nice and steady and not try to be too classy too early.
You know, you need to be aggressive with an English defender, Eddie, because there's some power coming at you at the moment. Fakir came on a massive charge, just taking a second one and coming at this line here now with some real determination.
This is Thomas Bosch. Can he get it away to James Wynn?
Move.
Clever little player is Wynn.
Pass it. Holding.
Seems to be hurt, though, in that challenge. Will get up a bit gingerly. Will play the ball to Kane Bentley. He will find Thomas Bosch. Bosch then to Jean-Philippe Bale. Drops the ball on the foot. And, oh, my word, it just beat Dimitri Pello down this left-hand touchline. Bobby Goulding said they would try and play it wide.
Well, it's obviously they're trying to put the pressure on the new guy, Tom Briscoe. That's the second occasion, got into the corner. He knows how close that was. We mentioned earlier that Dimitri Pello, he really has got good strike
So,
power.
yeah, hey,
Give him half a chance,
stay
just a little
down,
bit too
stay
strong.
down till I call out.
We see from that last
All right.
set where Tony Smith's going to
Hold
defend
on,
his halves. He's
hold
got
on.
Richie Myler defending, one in from the sideline, or sorry, 2 in from the sideline on the left-hand side, and Danny Maguire doing the same on the right-hand side. So I think he's going to try and preserve them and keep him as far away from these big French forwards as he can.
That's a good ball to Ellis. Ellis goes down midway inside his own half of the field, plays the ball quickly to Scott Moore. Scott Moore is greeted by 3 French defenders.
Hold.
Good work by the hooker as well. Quick play the ball, that is a key factor at international level.
Briscoe finds Maguire. Maguire then gives it to Lee Smith. He then gives it to Tom Briscoe. Exciting player, Tom Briscoe. Missed much of the season in the Engage Super League because of injury. Gets to his feet, plays it to Maguire. Here is Burgess again. He'll drive it forward, but that's the last. And Maguire waits the dummy half. Will find Sinfield, and Sinfield hoists it high over on the far side. Good kick. Bounces awkwardly and is picked up by Clint Greenshields, who is then tackled by Michael Shenton.
Good option as well by Sinfield. Not only did he give it plenty of height, but he kicked it right towards the pylons with all the lights that come in on the angle. It would have been difficult.
Now Pello to try and work this ball away from his own line. He's a very elusive runner, this fellow. Dimitri Pello, his 4th cap tonight. He missed the defeat by England in Paris in June, but he's here tonight in this 4 Nations opener. And after nearly 8 minutes gone, it's 0-0. England against France. Kane Bentley will kick it, and looking for a 40-20 here. Just didn't quite have the legs, didn't quite find the touchline, but almost did. This is Sean Briscoe now.
Not a bad option by the French either, kicking early. They went on the 4th, right from the play the ball scrum. And that's another interfering penalty given by the Kiwi. They're very, very strong, are the people from down in Australia and New Zealand. They don't like any messing around. They want to get the game going as quickly as possible. We certainly do, and you viewers would agree, I'm sure. That's a massive kick.
Julian Tuxigas getting through some work in the tackling, but being penalised there for just the extra push on the ground. That's a good hit on Jamie Peacock, though.
Come on, quicker, 10.
Peacock gets to his feet. Moore is waiting, 30 metres away. Maguire, and here is Burgess stepping.
There'll be a knock-on.
Yes,
Head
the
and
referee
feet.
will play the knock-on. An arm shot out. Probably a good job that it did as well, because England were in.
Nice
Pello
option,
to the rescue.
Nice option for Burgess there, looking for it. Just got a man there, Sinfield, just on the inside.
You know, Eddie, tonight, England have arguably the best second-row pairing in the world at present. I'm so excited to see Ellis and Burgess playing together in this tournament. We've seen Gareth Ellis wide on the left-hand side, his ability to offload the ball late in the tackle, and Sam Burgess is a multi-talented player who I think we're going to see the best of in the course of this 4 Nations. They really are a strong aspect for England this month.
Indeed, and of course they will both be operating in the NRL in Australia next month. This fellow, next season rather, this fellow Gareth Ellis with the West Tigers, Sam Burgess with South Sydney Rabbitohs. The deals, as far as he is concerned, have been done. He was missed out there though as the ball found its way to Tom Briscoe on this right wing.
Well, pretty lucky to get away with that, England. Dimitri Pello had just gone in slightly. If they'd stayed in his position, he would have bounced up right into his arms.
Good stepping from Burgess once again. He plays it to Scott Moore. Scott Moore, oh, that's far too deep, the kick. And this is the 20-metre restart I was telling you about. Nothing quick about this. The referee will get back to the 30-metre mark, look. Then he will blow the whistle, and only then can the play resume.
Well, to be fair, I think that could be quite an advantage for the French outfit. They don't want to rush things. They want to just slowly but surely get into a good position. They know they've got the quality in the forwards. They know they can do the hard work. And the combination of James Wim, Thomas Bost, pretty talented.
You know, if he's going to jump out and kick from dummy half, we saw a couple of these last week against Wales where they went dead and he put a bit too much on him. He's going to have to control these kicks, as are everybody in this England side. We're going to got ball back here.
They have with Shenton. The referee, though, will bring them back for the first knock on, and does that mean that the head and feet will go to the French?
Well, it's going backwards as far as this concerned, and it's claimed that Shenton has knocked on, so it's got to be.
No,
otherwise he would have played the advantage, surely. He's brought them back 5 metres. If it's England's head and feet, they're being penalised by about 5 metres.
I think the referee has ruled a double knock-on, first knock-on by the French. Lee Smith.
Yeah, but we had possession, we should have kept hold of it. 5 metres further down the field.
This now is Tom Briscoe, ball in field to Jamie Peacock. They've certainly done their homework about Peacock, mind you. You don't have to be a genius to work out that Peacock will be leading from the front. This is Burgess. Once again, down he goes under the challenge from Kane Bentley.
Getting through a lot of work is Burgess. Obviously, Tony Smith has said, I want a good 20 minutes from you.
That ball found its way out to the left-hand side. That's Shenton. This is Ryan Hall. And Ryan Hall is in touch, is he? No, he isn't. He managed to keep the ball, but now he's in touch. And the referee has penalised the French here. That's a little harsh, maybe.
Well, was he over there? It's pretty hard to see. The touch judge was certainly close.
Yeah, he was touched and the ball-carrying arms were on the ground. So the referee gets it right. This is Morley on the charge. England sensing the opportunity to open the scoring here.
Holding, go.
Scott Moore. Back it comes to Myler. Myler then to Maguire. Man slipped. In goes Lee Smith. First try of the Four Nations to England in the shape of Lee Smith. His 6th try at this level. The man who won yet another grand final winners' ring with the Leeds Rhinos, but will join Wasps when this Four Nations tournament is over. And Lee Smith gives England the lead. It's been delayed in coming, but after 13 minutes, England hit the front.
A good try as well. I'm not so sure that they got away with that, and they did. Either way, they got the possession, got the penalty here, and from one forward rush, this is good play. Beautiful stuff. The way that Burgess came in on the angle, it just completely confused the French, and it allowed Maguire to offload. Watch a big fella come through, bang. Oh, it was easy. Nice try, well worked.
So Lee Smith is the try scorer. Tries in 3 grand finals in a row, of course, after his 2 against St Helens a fortnight ago. And Kevin Sinfield now with the opportunity to add the extras. Sinfield for 3 years in a row, Super League's top goal kicker. Can he add the extras? No, he can't. Just goes the other way. Terry.
The French must make sure that they complete the set to 6. They've got to be disciplined. They can't give the penalties away. All that England do, looking at them from standing behind the stick, they've got so much movement, and you've got to make sure that you go forward. You can't wait for England to make the plays, otherwise they'll make you pay.
Lee Smith over for the try. The man slipping in front of Danny Maguire made that easier than it possibly looked.
Well, what we saw, though, was an example of a team passing the ball at pace with precision. And ultimately, the team that's going to win this Four Nations, I think, will be the best one at doing that, Eddie.
Peacock has seen a lot of the work up front early on, and every time he touches the ball, he has to try and fend off 3-4 would-be tacklers. Here is Morley. Remember, they've got James Graham on the bench as the only recognised prop forward waiting to come on, but Westwood can play there. This is Scott Moore. Myler is a dummy half here. Oh, he's lost that ball. That's a mistake from Scott Moore. Debut against France in Paris in June. There's the mistake. Knock on at the play the ball.
That knock on aside, he's really mixing his game up well, Scott Moore. He's at his very, very best when he jumps out of dummy half like he did in the run-up to that try. Causes an awful lot of problems for backpedaling defenders. I think the more we see of that, the more England are going to get on top of this game.
Let's go down to Bill. Injury news already.
Eddie, no, it's good news for Lee Smith, because he might be on his way to Union at the end of this tournament, but Sean Edwards will be welcoming him to Wasps when that contract starts. He's keeping an eye on things this evening and even sent Lee Smith a good luck message before tonight's game. So no doubt Sean Edwards will be satisfied to see his man already on the score sheet tonight.
Well, Lee Smith has just been penalised for lying all over the top of his opposite number, Jean-Philippe Bale. So the good and the bad from Lee Smith.
Well, that was silly play. It's as
I think
simple
his
as
arm
that.
was trapped. I think it's a mistake by the referee, probably not assisted by a touch judge, in my opinion. His arm was clearly under the man. He wasn't going to lie on top of him there.
Yeah, but he didn't struggle at all. He just laid there.
This is Elimer, the French captain. Jean-Philippe Bale at dummy half finds Bosque. Bosque then to Ferriol. We talk about the physical presence of the French. This fellow carries it in bundles. This now is Bentley. Bentley fires the pass to Bosque. He's the engineer-in-chief. Wynne gets it away. They keep the ball alive brilliantly. Greenshields. Clint Greenshields, wonderful ball. A great try from Dupont. The French are level. The French are level in Doncaster. Greenshields at the heart of it, and Thomas Bosque and James Wynne at the heart of it. Bobby Goulding's on his way down. Bobby Goulding, he'll be very pleased indeed. He said he would attack them out wide, and Vincent Dupont gets over for the first try for the French, and his first try in France colours.
Wonderful effort there. It all came about by the ability there for Lee Smith not to struggle to get away. That's a penalty, and from it, we know the capabilities of this man, Clint Greenshields. Watch him come a little bit late, just spins away. This is an excellent pass, isn't it? They were caught out there. It was well executed. They come out of the line. Come out of the line and you'll always get caught. Ryan Hall, no good positioning there. Bobby Goulding is elated, and why not?
Wears his heart on his sleeve, does Bobby. And Vincent Dupont, this is his third cap for his country. That's his first try for his country. And France are level here at Doncaster's Keep Moat Stadium.
Eddie, I think there's almost an argument to say 5 passes to the winger deserves 6 points in rugby league. That was great skill from the French. And, you know, from their perspective, I wonder whether they can put this kick over. Love to see the ball move like that.
Yes, they play with flair when they want to. And don't forget, there is such a camaraderie amongst this French team, because the majority of them, 12 of the starting lineup, they play for the Catalan Dragons in the Engage Super League. And this fellow, Thomas Bosque, is one of the stars of the Super League. One of the game's leading personalities this year. One of the leading point scorers too. He's already kicked 13 goals for his country. This to give the French the lead. And it's in off the post. Barry.
Eddie, what France can do, they can score tries, and I'm listening and watching the reaction of the England team. Very calm, very calculated. They know that France can score. It's just a case of reacting to those penalties they give away just that little bit better.
Well, Greenshields is a fantastic addition to the French side, isn't he? Not only such a very good player, but also, of course, he fills in what has been a problem position for successive French coaches. They really do struggle to find a full-back, and they found one courtesy of the residency rules here. The French are ahead by 6 points to 4. Just over 17 and a half minutes gone. Do we class this as a shock in the making, gentlemen?
Not really, no. It'd be early doors. We knew that the French, it's whether they can last for the full 80 minutes. You know, when you look at the bench, you talk about the fact that there are so many out there now that are from the Catalan Dragons, but off the bench, there's not a Super League player amongst them. And that is going to be the problem for Bobby Goulding, but that is a good kick.
That's a sensational kick from Thomas Bosk. It's turned England around, rather like the way that we were hoping that the English were going to be turning the French around. Ryan Hall plays the ball here to Michael Shenton. Some problems this time though, Bill, for someone?
Yeah, Remy Castille has been struggling for a while now. I think it's a dislocated finger, and I think the bone was put back in just a few moments ago. In fact, when Kevin Sinfield was lining up his conversion attempt, Castille has continued, but he's just signalled to the bench that he's still in some pain, and Roman Gagliazzo is, I think, preparing to come on in his place.
Yes, he's the man from Carcassonne, Roman Gagliazzo. 2 tries in the French Cup final. Oh, there's a stole here. It's been stolen, and it's with Tuxegas.
Well, he read it ever so well, didn't he? It looked as though there was a huge gap there. It took a gamble, came out of the defensive line, and said thank you very much indeed.
That's Ferriol. He plays the ball here to Bentley. Bentley to Bosk, and then Bosk to Elima, the skipper. And Olivier Elima gets to his feet and plays it to Bentley. England on the back foot here. Kane Bentley will go in for the try. The French are over under the sticks. Kane Bentley, international debut against England in June. Only 12 appearances this year for the Catalan Dragons. This is his second cap. And the French, they lead England here at the Keepmoat Stadium in Doncaster. It is 10 points to 6. It'll be 10 points to 4. It's 12-4 coming up because the kick is banged underneath the post.
Well, you pay the price if you give away an intercept, and look at that. Tuxegas was just standing there. He wasn't even in the line. He was caught out, and they caught their defence through the dummy. They were expecting it to go out wide, and not surprising the Frenchman. And Ken Bentley says, let's get this try on the board. Boy, it's like 2 years ago at Headingley when, remember, the French took an early lead, 2 tries early in that game against Great Britain. And boy, we expected them to be fired up. But it's a very subdued English crowd here, I can tell you.
Well, Thomas Bosk is the goal kicker. He's banged in front. And Thomas Bosk does not miss these. He got one in off the post a couple of moments ago. This one will go straight between the uprights. This for 12-4. And 12-4 it is. Barry.
We waxed about England's first try and the movement off the ball. It was exactly the same for France's try, only Kane Bentley suck hold of that ball and got a try under the black dot.
You see there, basically, Scott Moore's had an awful last couple of minutes. He's just been replaced. I don't know whether he's injured or fatigued. He's missed a tackle there on his opposite number. And Julian Tuxegas was the man who took the interception too from Scott Moore's pass. So I just hope he's okay and he can recover from that. But we want a 4 Nations tournament, Teddy. It has 4 great sides in it. At this stage, we've got 2 good ones anyway to start. 2 competitive sides.
Very competitive. Look at that scoreline. 12 points to 4 to the French. But a knock on here. A knock on here. David Ferriol, furious that this decision's been given.
Not happy at all. He thought that it had been assisted. We'll soon see. It hits the deck. Well, it's very difficult to see whether he's lost control of that. Certainly hit the deck when it was in his hand.
Go down.
Yep, lost it.
Well, it's a long, long time since the French last beat England, or really were in a position to beat England. They haven't defeated them since completing a 5-1 win at Headingley on the 21st of February 1981.
Well, this is where the likes of Morley and Peacock now just settle things down. They cannot afford to panic.
Peacock with the short pass. And the drive for the line that almost got some reward there from Adrian Morley. The ball comes back to Maguire. He'll stab it in behind the defence. Pello is there. Pello with a lot of work to do. Can't do it. Trapped in goal. England will get another set of 6. That's good chasing from the kick.
And good work by Maguire. The major reason why Tony Smith went for the standoff. Realises his short kicking game is quite superb, and the combination of both of the 2 Leeds Rhinos, Sinfield and Maguire, should be turning around. But good position though by Pello.
One of the things the coaches look at after you make a mistake like Scott Moore did is how the team reacts. You'd have to say that England didn't really transition well from attack into defence. We're going to have a look at what the French can do now. After a mistake and a forced dropout, how do they react?
This is Sinfield. He pops it up there to Sam Burgess. Burgess is grounded on the second tackle, 20 metres away from the French line. Roby is out there and he finds Peacock. Peacock will give it to Myler. Oh, that could have been obstruction.
Should have been, I think. They were lucky to get away with it because he went to the ground.
Myler plays it to Roby.
Let's give it a lot of credit to this French defence as well. They're coming out pretty quickly just off the fringes. Not giving them, the English guys, many opportunities to miss a man out, get the ball with a long pass. Maybe it'll come now.
Myler finds Maguire, who finds Sean Briscoe, who goes inside a couple of Briscoe. And the referee...
It was obstruction, wasn't it?
Penalised
He went behind
England
Sam
for
Burgess.
obstruction, yes. Well, you just hesitate to call obstruction because you don't know what the Australian and the Kiwis' interpretation of the rule is.
It's always a problem, Eddie, but you can see there that there was no Raguin could get nowhere near to the man carrying the football. He's worked hard, hasn't he? Sam Burgess and the fullback Sean Briscoe, always eager to link into the three-quarter line, but I think it's just good, solid, hard work that's needed by the English pack, especially just to get some inroads, get them into a confident position.
Let's get some news on Scott Moore, Bill.
Well, Eddie, Phil was speculating whether there was an injury involved in Scott Moore's replacement. There's no sign of that. He's come straight off the field. He's sitting on the bench and he's not having any treatment. He did, I think, get a big knock earlier in the game, quite early on, in fact, right on the French line when he was cleaned out, and just took a bit to recover from that. Whether it's the after effects of that or whether it's the fact that he's just made one error too many.
24 minutes on the clock and we have a surprising scoreline. 12 points to 4 in France's favour as Briscoe will run this ball back out for England. Well, we wanted a Four Nations, as Phil rightly said, that would be contested by all four nations. We've had 24 minutes of a great contest here, and the French on the front foot at the moment.
And they're building in confidence again from the hooker, Kane Bentley. From the dummy half position, kicking early, right into the corner. He's got the radar right. Now then, England, where's the big guys? Let's pummel up the middle, soften them up slightly, then the likes of Maguire and Myler can show their skills.
Here's James Graham, who's on. Just come on for Adrian Morley, has James Graham. He plays the ball here to Roby, and it's Maguire, and a kick into open space. Greenshields watching this, skips away from him, and the try scorer, that's Duport, who picks it up. Greenshields a dummy half. And a player of this quality will make such a difference to the French national side. And James Graham has been pinged for not standing square, I think.
Just over enthusiastic, just come off the bench. You often find that. Yeah, just stepped out to his left a little bit too quickly. Interesting to note there that when those quick play the balls by England, when they kicked, the French side were very slow to get back. And in fact, 2 or 3 of the forwards were just walking around, even after France had played the ball on 2 occasions.
Drive forward here by Sébastien Martins. Plays it to Bentley. He finds Ferriol. Wynne was the runner on the inside. Bentley once again. Finds Thomas Bosk. Good ball back on the inside. This is Gagliasso.
You'll notice how the French, they're not rushing. They're just biding their time. They realise that if they can just camp down. That's a lovely pass.
It is a great ball. And there's a chance here for Sébastien Raguin. He'll play it then to Tuxegas. This is the last tackle. The kick, a little aimless. Briscoe is able to pick it up. But then Briscoe is forced back. That's a good chase. And a dominant tackle, calls the New Zealand referee Leon Williamson.
I think 26 minutes into this game and the scoreline doesn't lie. France are the better side. Their kicks have been more accurate. They've probably had more enthusiasm. I mean, we're all questioning whether they've got the stamina here to play for 40 minutes without the half-time rest. But at the moment, there's good line speed. They're putting England under tremendous pressure.
He's waited and waited for this opportunity, Bobby Goulding. And his men so far are doing him proud. Greenshields underneath the kick downfield.
Well, it went early on the 4th. It wasn't a good one.
It was a poor kick.
It was a poor kick. And they just have not got their radar right. And they are building again in confidence in the French outfit. And full credit to him, as Phil Clark has already mentioned, they fully deserve their lead.
When you consider also the finish to the season that the Catalan Dragons had, of course, and this French 17 is based around the Dragons. That ball has come free to knock on. The Catalan Dragons getting to within 80 minutes of Old Trafford, of course, in the grand final.
Well, that was a real bonus, wasn't it, for Bobby Golding, the French. Oh, was that reefed out? It may have been assisted there, but it's just a great advantage when you know that so many of your players that you're going to have at international level, that they go so far, their camaraderie is there, that they work as a good unit, and they were very confident when we saw them arrive off the bus. They will look so cool, calm, but very confident for the visitors.
Always believed to be one of the great pluses of having a team in Super League, to build a French team that is capable of taking on the bigger nations. And there's no question that England are one of the, well, they're in the top three, obviously, and a lot of people saying that England this year second favourites. The world champions, New Zealand, are seen as the outsiders.
Great work there by the halfback, James Wynn. Read it superbly. There was nothing that Sinfield couldn't do. And in fact, I think Sinfield's picked up a knock. It was a big hit there by the little halfback, James Wynn.
Here's Graham. Graham drives it in, and Burgess went without the ball. So this will be a knock-on.
Good opportunity, though. We see that from the St. Helens prop time and time again. You know, he's not just a workhorse, a barging ram. He often offloads, tries to kid the opposition. It was on. If he could have just taken that, it was a clear run to the post.
Well, we see that through the course of a Super League season, where he puts it into the hands of John Wilkin, who breaks the line at speed. Haven't quite developed the combination with Sam Burgess, but it's got to be one of England's ways of unlocking their opponents this month.
Well, one of the notes I made for this match, I just put the name Townsville last year, Papua New Guinea, lambs to the slaughter then. In the first World Cup encounter, England scraped home. And the feeling is that they must do better here on home soil in this Four Nations. But the opening 29.5 minutes have not gone according to Tony Smith's script.
He'll be very disappointed because they haven't really taken a grasp of this game. What does the French have? You can see they're getting over the advantage line. They're working as a unit. Exactly what the Catalan Dragons done throughout this Super League season. Oh, it's a big hit, though. Burgess real into it.
On Ferriol, the legs came up as he hit the deck, but deemed not to be a dangerous tackle by the referee. Bosk, that's a lovely chip over the top. Will this bounce for Greenshield? Oh, it's a knock on by Briscoe. And it's going to be 6 to go here.
Beautiful little chip over the top.
Well, here they come, the French. This is Jean-Philippe Bale. That's the first tackle. And the French with a great opportunity here as Bosk tips the ball inside to Gagliazzo, the man from Carcassonne.
It
just goes down on the second tackle.
Just saying, it just shows you the quality of Thomas Bosk there. He could see that there was no dummy runner.
And this is Tuxigas. I beg your pardon, it's Elima. Olivier Elima, the skipper. And Bentley waits, the dummy half. England having to defend here for their lives. This is Bosk. Gets the ball in field to Sebastian Martin. 4 tackles gone. They really are threatening this English line at the moment. Kane Bentley and Bosk again. Fires it to James Wynn. There's a hole there for Wynn. It was quickly filled. It had to be 2 by Myler and Shenton. Here is Bosk once more. Will hoist the kick, looking for Jean-Philippe Bale. And oh, Bale got to that. Now then, they managed to escape. Do England in the shape of Ben Westwood.
Boy, that was great relief. Tony Smith would have been so nervous over that. Beautiful kick over by Thomas Bosk. You see that. It nearly knocked it back there, and there's nothing that Sean Briscoe could do. He was going towards it at full speed.
Yes, who came off the boot of Danny Maguire. Well, 31.5 minutes. The bookies had England as 35-point favourites coming into this. Here they come. No, that's a good run from Myler.
Great offload there by Roby. Looked as though he was tackled, but spun around, chip into the corner.
Only finds Dimitri Pello. The chase has arrived, though.
Not sure about kicking to him. I think he's the last one on the back three. Well, Clint Greenshields is tremendous at returning the ball, but definitely Dimitri Pello. He's one of the main reasons France can get a go for it. I think if you're going to kick to him, I'd either kick it high and try and stand him still underneath the ball, or kick it to the other winger.
Yeah, I'm being very surprised that only on one occasion have we put up a high bomb. And to be fair, this Kane Bentley is controlling this game out there. He's having the time of his life. And that was a knock-on. Well, that's the third one that we've... An unforced error by the French.
You've got to control the
big
ball.
fella, Jean-Philippe Bale.
Hey, what's that? Get him off. Someone's coming off.
Just can't put on his foot, all right?
Interesting the way that Goulding will rotate his team tonight, because England, you would expect, will just try and turn the screw if they possibly can.
Well, they need to score before half-time just to build their confidence.
What a bonus it would be for Bobby Goulding, though, if France turned round ahead here. But Michael Shenton trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. Shenton made his debut against Wales here last year for England.
That's better play by England. Just good, solid work. Dragging this defence. Then you start doing all the twinkle toes.
This is Myler.
Ooh, that looked a high shot. He felt that as well. Elima didn't miss him.
Roby finds Maguire. Maguire to Westwood. Westwood loses the ball in the collision.
He's lost it. Quick thinking there by Thomas Bosk. Pretty solid defence. He's a big centre, isn't he? Jean-Philippe Bale.
You know what, it is solid defence and it's well organised. Bobby's got them defending all together. They all know what they're doing. They're reading off the same script.
That's got to be a penalty to England, because the referee shouted held, held and released. And Dimitri Pello, the referee, he says it was a forward pass and it was given the same time as he shouted held.
A little bit confused there by the winger. And to be fair, Tony Smith will be quite happy that the French are self-destructing over a few occasions. So many errors, unforced, I might add. It's allowing England still keep in this game.
The chance here then for the English with Michael Shenton, but he's got three defenders ahead of him.
There's a massive lack of cohesion, though, isn't there? For a backline shot, there was almost two different ideas between what the standoff and what the centre thought was happening from that play.
Well, Bosk can win. They're working together. I'm afraid Maguire and Myler, we have not yet seen it. That'll be a knock-on by the big fella.
So
James
close.
Graham.
He knows he was so close, though, to taking that pass in.
The option is good,
but the pass is poor.
The thing is, their teammates at club level, now they get that right, and they do during the season, that's going to come off for them. And just unfortunate that time, it was just timing the fraction of James's run. I think he's got a little bit too far ahead, made it hard for James Roby to pass it.
Well, you mentioned that, and of course there is Danny Maguire out there for England. He's playing alongside Myler, and I know that it has worked for England in the past, but have I missed something, or is Rob Burrow injured, or is he simply left out of this formation squad?
Simply left out. It's there's no
here we go, good.
There's no hiding the fact that he just, as far as Tony Smith is concerned, he's not really hit the high spots. This fella has. Dimitri Pello.
Rob Burrow's away on holiday. It's not a holiday here for England. Not at the moment, because we're approaching half-time and the French are 12-4 up. And looking for more here with Bentley, who finds Bosk. Bosk to win. Thought about the pass wide, thought better of it, and then took it forward. 4 minutes to half-time. Last tackle here for the French, this set of 6. England will get at least one more opportunity.
Okay.
And the kick just finds touch from Clint Greenshields. Nothing dramatic, nothing silly, just eat the clock up a bit. And he's saying, let's turn it round at half-time with us ahead.
And that's the advantage that you need. You just control things. In any game, never mind whether it's international, you've got to make sure that you push it in, just allow things. The French they haven't rushed. They've taken it very, very steady.
Which team are thinking about scoring, Eddie, and which team are thinking about half-time? At the moment, there didn't seem enough urgency amongst the English players. Maybe they were just waiting to compose themselves at this play here. But there doesn't seem like a push here, does there, in the next few minutes, like we sometimes see from champion sides, to up the pace, up the intensity, and somehow get that score before the break.
England looking to just inject a little bit of pace. This is Westwood. He'll be trying to turn the screw. They're saying release. Elima looks at the referee and does release. Westwood to Roby. Roby gets the short pass away.
A little bit more running from James Roby as well. You know, try to make the first and second markers try work overtime. Oh, that's good defence. You know, this guy he's so impressed me. Kane Bentley, he's been superb.
Sinfield's
Poor
kick
kick.
straight
Poor
down
kick.
the throat of Clint Greenshields. And the French fullback on his international debut today, 27 years of age, one of the best fullbacks in Super League, to Dimitri Pello, who can score from anywhere if he's given the opportunity. England know that.
Well, he's been everywhere. I mean, he's been picked there on this left wing, Eddie, but he's playing loose forward when they have the scrum. He's working like an extra forward. He's got them working very hard as Bobby Gould, and you've got to take your hat off to him. They're looking far more impressive than their opposition.
Bentley, back it comes to Thomas Bosk. Bosk then to Elima. Elima is met by Lee Smith, but he manages to get the ball away brilliantly to Bosk. And that's a knock-on. It's a knock-on, the referee's blown the whistle.
Yeah, I've seen it. That's good play by Liam Williamson. Maguire thought that it got England back on track. The crowd boo, but it's only a half-hearted. You'll see Boss throw it over there, and a little doubt in my mind that Briscoe just got a fingertip to it.
Was he going for the ball, though? I mean, is it one of these
That's pretty hard, isn't it?
where the referee has to make a snap decision and snap interpretation?
Oh, I think he's going for
he's
the ball.
going for the
Yeah,
ball,
yeah, you can see he's raised the arm very, very quickly.
Quickly, back in here.
Well,
Tom
an
Briscoe
opportunity.
thought he'd put Danny Maguire in.
And again, Bobby Goulding sending out the message, you take it steady, fellas.
Wait.
We're in no rush. Look at the scoreboard. 12-4.
No,
It's
let me
in
put time
our
on. You've got to get in
advantage.
position, mate. You can't creep in here. You can't encroach this area.
They have got to find something before half-time.
You mentioned half-time. In Paris in June, England led France by 44 points to nil. Here, with a minute to the half-time break, France are ahead 12-4. This is Vincent Duport, and he will get the penalty.
2 minutes. Get into the marker,
Well, I think they'll kick quickly into the corner. They've only got seconds.
And Bobby
he's
has
going
sent,
for the two.
he sent the message out. He wants 2 points. Kick for goal.
I don't know how his French has developed over the past 4 to 5 months, but it's certainly got out.
The message has got through to
Yeah.
Thomas Bosk. Deux points.
De
Deux
point.
points.
De points.
Nil point. England and played in the first half. You have to say nil point out of 10. But it has been a very good French side.
Certainly has, and we look completely lost, especially in and around the play the ball area, where it looked as though with the inclusion of Scott Moore and James Roby that we really should have been bossing it. But I keep mentioning the fact that Kane Bentley, and he'll be so happy, Bobby Goulding, the way that the hooker Bentley has controlled things.
Stay behind them.
France had the advantage of being totally embarrassed in June in that mid-season international. And I think that players in all sorts of sports, really, when they have a point to prove, tend to find that extra 10%. We've seen that certainly from the French outfit in this 40-minute period.
Well, Thomas Bosk knows that this is the last kick of this first half. And if he manages to kick it, France turn up around with a 14 points to 4 advantage. He's got the length, but he's just pushed it wide of the post.
20-metre drop. 20-metre drop.
The referee's just shouted 20-metre drop. I don't know whether he had the earplugs in, because we could certainly all hear the siren that had sounded in the background. France leave the field to great applause, and they lead by 12 points to 4. 2 tries to 1. Duport and Bentley with the tries. Bosk has kicked both goals. Lee Smith with the opening try for England. And a slight crisis for England to face in the dressing room at half-time in this opening match of the Gillette Four Nations. There's live boxing coming up tonight. Jamie Moore takes on Ryan Rhodes for the European light middleweight title, and that's at 10 o'clock, Sky Sports 1 and HD1. It's the opening match of the Four Nations 2009. Look at that scoreline. England 4, they scored first through Lee Smith. France 12, Duport and Bentley. And Tony Smith, well, that wasn't the best 40 minutes that he has ever been involved with, I'm sure. And he's just trying to make the point here that, look, just let's try and up the ante a bit, and let's try and prove that we are contenders for this Four Nations title. Pre-tournament, they were second favourites. Australia, the red-hot favourites. England, because they're on home soil, second favourites. New Zealand, the world champions, third favourites. This lot were the rank outsiders. Bobby Goulding's France, they look like the team more likely after that first 40 minutes. When you consider that in Paris in June, France were trailing by 44 points to nil. Here tonight, they are leading by 12 points to 4. Incredible, Steve-O.
Certainly is, Eddie. Bobby Goulding said they'll come with a lot more fire. It took England a long time to get into the swing of things, and when they did, it was a beautiful pass by Maguire. Lee Smith, that was after 13 minutes, and you think to yourself, this is when the floodgates were going to open. And then Lee Smith came from hero to zero by giving away a penalty that allowed the French to score 2 tries in just 4 minutes. The first one come around with this man again, Clint Greenshields, getting to the ball. You can see there that Ryan Hall had come out of the position and there was no way they're going to stop Deporte. And then barely minutes after this, the intercept, look at that. Tuxegas says, thank you very much indeed. And from that position, Kane Bentley, who's had a wow of a first half, threw the dummy. That was very poor defence. He took it. That made it 12 points to 4. And late in the game, Graham just couldn't take it in. But it's still 4-12 to the French at half-time.
It is, and just making our way to the studio here from the commentary gantry, we were just speculating, you know, what is it that has turned the French around? Is it the fact that they're after revenge for that defeat in Paris in June, when they were absolutely put to the cleaners? Or is it because whoever it is was supposed to press the button for the French national anthem, missed the beat, and there was no music to back them up? I mean, is that an insult to the French, and has that sparked them up?
No, I'm not sure that wasn't the best of starts off the field. I think the game that the French are playing today is the one that England should try and replicate. I can see what England are trying to do. They're trying to mix it up and having the forwards string a couple of passes together. They're ending up with a completion rate less than 50%. They're running at about 47%, I think the stats showed. French aren't a whole lot better. They're up at 67, but it is better than England. I'd like to see England go back, get the forwards just to hit it up and let the halves play off the back of that. Cut out for the minute the intricate passing or trying to get the forwards to play a bit more expansive. We need to go back and get to the end of our sets. We're not... England. Very clear
well
on that. Be
well
very clear. England need to get and finish their sets, and they're not going to do it with... all these unforced errors are coming up. They've got to cut them out of the game.
Well, they have, and I mean, you know, look, it's not over and done with yet, and Tony Smith knows that 40 minutes, anything can happen, but he is obviously very concerned because roll the time clock back 12 months. This is like watching England against Papua New Guinea in the World Cup opener last year.
You're right, it is, but I don't want to get into too much of the line of harping back to that World Cup, although I can understand your comparison. Tony Smith is going to see 40 minutes opportunity here to improve rolling into these really tough games coming up, and they're going to have to. That performance will not be good enough against what they're going to face next week. The best rugby players on this planet in either code are coming to these shores in this month. They're already here actually, and England are going to face them next week and the week after, and they're going to have to aim up. We talked about combinations. England's combination on the left. I'm used to Great Britain and Ireland. England's combination on the left-hand edge in defence got cut out the first time it got tested by the French, and they're going to come up against sterner tests in the following weeks.
Look, we're probably concentrating a lot on England's poor first half. I think we ought to pay tribute to the French. They have been magnificent.
They've been outstanding, and it's been simple. They've got their forwards to hit the ball up and play it as quickly as they possibly can. Run it really hard. Their guys coming off the bench have just continued that straight on, and Thomas Bosk and James Wynne are playing well off the back of that. Clint Greenshields out, always a threat out wide. They're playing a simple game, but it's working for them. I'd like to see England go back, revert to that simple game, and see if they can get anything at the end of a set.
And Kane Bentley, as Steve-O has said, we all know that Steve-O is chairman of the Hookers Union, but Kane Bentley is absolutely running the show from dummy half at the moment for the French. So, where do England go from here? Well, obviously they come out of the dressing rooms, they get out there on the field, and they try and just turn this story around, because at the moment it's the story of a French revolution here in Doncaster. The French are ahead, and nobody gave them a cat in hell's chance of being in this position at half-time. Well, the Four Nations is well and truly underway, and we're live tomorrow at the Twickenham Stoop, the home of the Harlequins. It's Australia against New Zealand, a repeat of the World Cup final of last year. 7:30, Sky Sports 2 HD2, we're with you. England emerge for the second half here in Doncaster, trailing against the rank outsiders, France, by 12 points to 4. What a first 40 minutes, though, for the French. Bobby Goulding has, well, he's got some spirit going there, there's no question of that, after the absolute toweling they got in Paris in June. 44-0 England led at half-time. Here we are, just a matter of a few months on, and Danny Maguire and company know they have it all to do in this second half. Steve, it's not ridiculous to say that A, reputations for England are on the line here, and B, a place in the semi-finals is on the line.
Yeah, and they realise it. They've got 40 minutes to turn it around. Gareth Ellis had a tremendous season down under in Australia, and I think that nerves definitely got to them in that first half, but that is no excuse for some of their defensive, shall we say, frailties. And Tony Smith would have got right inside them and said, look, we've got to make sure that we don't let France take control. As I say, they were taking control from the dummy half position. They've got to cut down Kane Bentley. But can the French, will they last the full 80? That is a big question.
Well, the French, and this is Jamal Fakir, who will never ever take a backward step. And I know that there are no semi-finals in this tournament, but you know what I mean. If England lose here, they will not be making any attempt, I don't think, on getting to the final, unless, of course, they can beat Australia and or New Zealand in successive weeks, and then beat them again, one of the two of them, in the final on the 14th of November. Well, the stakes are high, is what I'm saying.
Pulling on an international jersey helps to make some players play better at rugby league, Eddie. Some players don't actually play as well. If you look at the English performance 1-17 in that first 40, there were performances below what we would expect to see from an average league match from them, and I think that's the biggest question that Tony Smith must have had in his mind. You know, what have the players done? It was an inferior effort, really, and they did look rather lacklustre as the game wore on.
And I think the biggest problem as well, Phil, was the fact that there didn't appear to be any enthusiasm. They're not talking to each other. We made the point before, Danny Maguire, Kevin Sinfield, when they put on a Leeds jumper, they're talking, they're shouting, they're organising. We didn't see that in the first 40 minutes. We certainly needed in the second half.
Here's Kane Bentley, who has certainly looked to be the man of the match in that first half so far, and he manages to offload. France keep hold of the football, and here is Bentley again as James Wynn played it to him. That's Thomas Bosk. This is Olivier Elema, and Elema has gone for the power play, couldn't get the ball away. That will be the turnover on the last. Bobby Goulding said in the build-up to this is the month when the likes of Olivier Elema, Julian Tuxegas, Jamal Fakir and Jean-Philippe Bale, Dimitri Pello, they stand up and they make the world take notice. Well, the world's taking notice at the moment.
He also said that he's like his side to go into the final quarter of this game, Eddie, perhaps only 4 or 6 points behind England. They've got a chance of being 4 or 6 points ahead if they continue the way they played in the first 40. And he thinks that that will put the pressure on Tony Smith and the English side. Get to see whether England can start with more dominance and speed. I think seeing the players are trying to create some urgency here amongst the body language.
Morley plays the ball. This is Graham. Whoa, that's a ferocious hit and an illegal challenge.
Marker, got to get square.
And actually, it's not for that. It's markers not standing square.
It was a big hit, wasn't it, by the sub, Sebastien Matan. Look at this, 16 went straight in, right into the chest. Legal, but he wasn't standing square. Now then, can we see a little bit of, well, skill factor? We've seen a lot of hard work.
This is England's chance. And there is Roby. And the runner is Morley. Adrian Morley will drag it forward, and they're right underneath the French post here now on tackle number 2. Roby again. That's the third tackle. James Graham, his St Helens teammate, is at dummy half. It comes back to Kevin Sinfield. Sinfield will fire the pass to Myler. Wynn was on him, but Wynn has missed him. Myler going for the line. Myler will score for England. Or does he? Yes, he does.
Wonderful effort. The first time that we've seen Richie Myler take on the defence. Supreme confidence, nice step as well. And because he took the ball at top speed, they could not get their defence sorted out. It needed some scoring. He had to reach out, he had to take a huge gamble, but he got it straight through there. It was a good position. And as soon as he takes this ball, he decides they've come out, they've got to shut him down. They failed to do that. Oh, that is a good effort. Boy, if there was ever a try needed by the home side, it was from Richie Myler.
Well, that is his 6th try at this level. Sinfield adds the goal, Barry.
One thing that we've been asking for England is speed around the ruck. Richie Myler brings that. They were the first out of the changing rooms after half-time. I think that was an important part.
Good movement from Myler, good footwork, and he manages to find his way through.
Look, that's a bit of the basics that we sort of asked for at half-time, and I think Tony Smith might have preached a bit of that. Adrian Morley James Graham drive the ball in, followed by a big run by Moz, sniping run from James Roby out of dummy half, then shifted wide. Basics, but it works.
Deep kick-off is fielded by Tom Briscoe.
Well, we often say you've got to ask the question before you come up with the answer and some results, and that certainly was the first opportunity from Richie Myler. Tony Smith, who will be his coach at Warrington next season, of course, has every confidence in this fella. And it just shows you, if you take the ball at speed, the French defence came out quickly, and if you're going to do that, you've got to put him down. They failed to do it, and he made them pay.
Well, England have certainly upped the ante at the start of this second half. I'm sure that that's exactly what the coach required, but they have dropped the ball here. There's a knock-on by Morley.
The France celebrated it. Every time they get possession that starts inside England's half, they know they've got a chance, and here's one of them examples. Morley loses possession. They get a breather as the scums form, which suits the French side. They get to discuss what they're going to do in this set of 6. It's a great position for them to strike back.
You're absolutely right, Phil. That's the breather they needed there. The last thing they want to be doing is defending another England set.
Well, here they come with Bosk, and he tries to tiptoe his way through the line. Pulled down by Ben Westwood. James Wynn gets it away to Elima. He will play it to Bentley. Bentley goes down the short side. England trying to force the Frenchman into touch. It was Jean-Philippe Bale who plays it. It's Elima again. And now the substitute, Gagliazzo.
Quite happy to use the big forwards. Probably finish off with a kick after this one.
Bosk. Wynn. Good movement from Wynn. James Wynn. Just held up short of the line. An important tackle that from Ryan Hall, but it's an obstruction penalty.
Well, it's well worked, wasn't it? Oh, they're looking to get that.
There it is.
But you could see there that Kevin Sinfield had jumped out of the way. I think they're a little bit unfortunate there. Sigh of relief, I must say, but they got back in numbers. Great work by James Wynn.
Well, that was an alarm bell ringing for England, wasn't it?
And big relief for Adrian Morley. Remember, he was the one that came up with the knock-on.
And here he is again on the ball now. Gets the ball away this time cleanly. And this is Roby once more.
Well, when they get the ball out wide, England, they've got to make sure they've got dummy runners. They've got to create a little bit of a problem for this strong defence. Oh, great work.
Yes, good tackle that was by Sadoui. Maguire, and this now is Westwood. Westwood highly rated by Tony Smith for both his club and his country. Maguire, he'll hoist the kick high. Ryan Hall's after this. Ryan Hall got it, but I think he got it on the second occasion when the ball was knocked forward. And it's a penalty for offside. Yes, it came off Shenton. Referee spot on.
Yeah, just a touch in front. Shenton made the first contact. Not the best kick by the French side.
I guess as two players attacking that kick and trying to score off it, if they had their time again, I think they'd look and try and one give a call, the other stand back and clean up any spill ball that comes, instead of the two of them going for it.
Yeah, slight lack of communication. We haven't got any problems in that department, I hope. Here's Bill.
Oh, that's tempting fate, Eddie, but France have got a problem down on the sidelines, and if the pace of this game is going to catch up with them, then they can do well with having Remy Casti fit, but it doesn't look as though he's going to take any further part in the Four Nations tournament. In actual fact, a dislocated finger has now turned out to be a broken finger, and Casti will be off to hospital for x-rays after this game. I don't think he'll play any further part in the tournament, and he's one of their big go-forward players. That is a big blow.
Oh, and Dimitri Pello tried to take that in. The chip over the top. Maguire feeds off the scraps.
You see, they're not frightened to do something different. And Pello nearly got that ball in.
That's one. Move.
You've got to admire the way that this French outfit, especially the little chip over that we've seen a lot from Thomas Boss. Great ball.
Great ball from Ryan Hall. He finds Richard Myler. And Roby waits at dummy half. England flooding forward in numbers. Here goes Graham. Roby fires the pass. Maguire pops it up then to Westwood. A little juggle from Ben Westwood. And he's tackled on his knees in the end by Elima. 4 gone. This is Sinfield. Sinfield taking it on his own. Myler! Second try for Myler, is it? Referee will check. Yes, it is. Second try for Richard Myler.
He was a bit short to start with. Beautiful play though, wasn't it, by Kevin Sinfield? We didn't see much of it from the first 40 from the lead skipper, but he has created a beautiful try for Mr. Myler. And good support play. Getting into the swing of things now. Beautiful work. Look at Sinfield through the dummy. He knew that he was going to be there. He looked a bit short to start with and then just nudged the ball forward. Top quality play, bit of a high shot. See how he nudges it forward and says, well, I think I might have been a bit short the first time. No problem, says the official, Liam Williamson. Can he add the extra 2?
England take the lead for the first time since the 13th minute. Sinfield adds the extras, Barry.
Structured plays, inside passes, trying to isolate those big fellas. I'd like to see some I'd like to see them build some pressure.
What we're seeing is the England players starting to take on the French defence, and that's the difference here now. Sinfield involved in the first try for Myler just a few minutes ago with a pass to set him up. This time he ran with the ball, provided a try to a man who just instinctively knows how and where to be and gets over the try line with regularity.
Yes, he got 2 tries here last time he played in England's colours on this ground in his debut against Wales last year. 13 tries this year for the Salford City Reds. Warrington now. And, well, last week when he played in the win against Wales, it was the first win he'd enjoyed since June, Richard Myler. And here England now will enjoy some more domination because they have a penalty and Peacock comes back into the fray.
Not a bad option as well. Tony Smith takes off Morley, brings on Peacock at a time when they've just taken the lead. But there's a lot more enthusiasm and a lot more understanding as well. They're now talking to each other, they're pointing. You do the dummy runner, I'll try to get it out eventually. But it's looking a lot more impressive, isn't it, in the second half by the England outfit.
I think that we saw the England coach Tony Smith quite animated. I know he doesn't lose his rag easily, but I think he made a few points quite forcefully. That's a great ball. That's a great try. Kevin Sinfield. Great offload from Peacock. England have taken a stranglehold on the game in the opening 10 minutes of this second half. Kevin Sinfield with the try. One of the easiest tries he will ever score for England, that. Laid on a plate for him by a beautiful offload from his captain, Jamie Peacock. Captain of Leeds, Kevin Sinfield, feeding off captain of England and club colleague, Jamie Peacock.
It's amazing what confidence can do to you, and they really are running at this French outfit. Wonderful work. You can see that the French are sort of hanging back. Wasn't the best attempt, was it, by Martin in defence, but take nothing away by the offload from Peacock. And can he add an extra 2 to the 4 he's just scored?
He can, Barry.
I saw Gareth Carvell before the match and he was a little bit disappointed he didn't make the side, but he said, how can you compete with the world's 2 best front rowers?
Well, there's one of them, Peacock, putting on a plate for Kevin Sinfield, a great try. And there's a danger here for France now, as England dominate possession. Nice little run by Roby out to the acting half-back position. The strength and the offload to his Leeds colleague put Sinfield under the post. 6 more points, and fatigue starts to set in with 1 or 2 of these French bodies.
Well, in Paris, England scored 44 points in the first half. They're on course to score 44 points in the second half in Doncaster.
Yeah, and on 3 occasions they scored back-to-back tries. This is the problem here for France. The concentration needs to be tight for these 6.
Here's Graham. 18 points in 9 minutes for England. A problem for the French, I suppose. Bill?
Yeah, it could be a problem approaching now because Kyle Eastman about to come on for his England debut, although here come the French.
They do indeed. They come forward in the French of Villegas. But then they lose the ball as well. But now they have the England man in touch. Do they know? The touch judge says that there was no white jersey belonging to Ben Westwood over that line. But Kyle Eastman about to come on for his international debut. Great pickup it was. And then he lost it, just simply lost it, Villegas.
I think he tried to offload it as well, Eddie, at the same moment, but it wasn't the best pass. One thing being confident and trying to get the ball out wide, but that'll lift the spirits of the French, and that's a mistake. Kyle Eastman, first touch of the football.
But a forward pass from Graham, I think. And just noticing, actually, it's Sean Briscoe who's coming off the field. It was a knock-on by James Graham, as you saw, who's carrying the tackle. But Sean Briscoe comes off to be replaced by Kyle Eastman.
And if you want to look at what the difference is between this English team in the second half, this 14 minutes in the first half, you've got to say they're playing with quite a lot more urgency in everything they do. And the last thing the French will want to see coming onto the field is somebody like Kyle Eastman, who can cause a tiring defence all sorts of problems.
It's the French in possession, though, from that scrum. Bosch to Greenshields. And Greenshields loses the ball, but it went backwards, says the referee, so play on as Ferriol takes it forward once more for France.
Their defence is a lot more solid as well, England. They're not moving out of position. A couple of times in that first 40, they were certainly doing that.
Oh, and the ball has gone to ground again, and England have it back. Shenton. Well, they're their own worst enemies at the moment, the French. It's strange, isn't it? Half-time comes at exactly the wrong time for one team, and it comes at exactly the right time for the other.
Well, we have the depth on the bench, don't we? And that is the advantage, and I'm sure Tony Smith realises that. Bobby Goulding, of course, we mentioned that Villegas, Galliazzo, Matan and Sadoui not in the Super League formation, so they were always going to have to struggle to last the full 80 minutes. And there was a silly challenge by Olivier Elima.
Having a few in here already. Deal with it, mate. Make the tackle, stand up clear, right?
Not surprisingly, Mr. Williamson has a few words to say.
Just wants to play the ball area, tidying up a little bit. England ahead 22 points to 12. 9 different Super League sides represented here in the England jersey, and of course the 10th in the Catalan Dragons department on the other side of the field.
Well, all England have to do now is just get over the advantage line, which they are doing with considerable ease. And when you look at the fact that there's Peacock and James Graham getting to a lot of hard work, then you can start utilising the talents of the 2 halfbacks, Maguire, Myler, and I think we'll start to see that.
Gareth Ellis brought to ground by Vincent Duport. That could have been a penalty as well. Maguire coming down the short side. Shenton.
Surrender! Stand! That's 4.
4 tackles gone, says the referee. This is Sinfield attacking the line. Oh, poor ball though. All on the deck to Dimitri Pello. This fella can shift. And he ducks under those challenges. They were weak challenges. Oh, and why would you offload on the halfway line?
Well, I can't believe that. He did all the hard work, good work as well. Got them into a position, got them out of trouble, and then he tried something. Well, pretty stupid in the end. There's no way in the world that Olivier Elima can get to that.
Come on.
But a few of the English guys went high.
Stay in there, Jamie, until it's out, all right?
3 guys, in fact. It was only Roby that said, I'll go low in the end. He's furious. He's every right to be.
Not half as furious as his coach.
Yeah, Bobby Goulding won't be too impressed either. To be fair to him, though, Dimitri Pello, he's worked hard.
Just go together.
But that
Right.
man there, Bobby Goulding, realises that they needed possession. They haven't had much in this second half. Not only possession, but field position as well.
That was a glorious opportunity, wasn't it? And it was thrown away.
And the French realise they've got the quality to score tries, but they must get into a good position.
This is Lee Smith for England. It's the first tackle. There's Roby.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
And Sam Burgess. Oh, he's lost that. Jean-Philippe Bale nicked it back. Here is Elima.
Hell, zero. No, you
Yep,
stand
lost
up.
it completely.
You're making it.
So it's now England's turn to defend. And that was a run from Gagliazzo.
This is where Tony Smith will be wanting to get the improvement, and it is that they're moving up as a unit. They're coming a little bit faster out wide, trying to force the French down that middle.
France have just made their 7th interchange. Here is Ferriol. Remember, they also have the man off the field injured with the broken finger, or suspected broken finger. That's Remy Casti. James Wynn just straightened it up. James Wynn. Oh, play on.
That looked forward a mile.
Well, it was a late call from the referee. He shouted play on. Then the ball was put on the boot. And Bobby Goulding knows another opportunity has gone begging.
Good work, though. He's impressed me, hasn't he, James Wynn? Definitely forward.
It was, but the referee shouted play on, and then look, he's saying play on, and then
I think he's
he obviously got a call from the side.
Word in his ear.
Come on.
I don't mind giving them the word in the ear, Eddie, as long as it's absolutely spot on, and it was on that occasion. But it just shows you that this French outfit, they're not giving up the ghost.
That ball was stolen in the tackle.
Two head. No way.
Look, Bobby's going to be fuming here. They're self-destructing. They can ill afford to give away these penalties.
Well, he tried to cover it as best he could, Clint Greenshields, but they're desperate for their football. And even when they were in command in that first half, you know, they were self-destructing with the French outfit, mainly due to the errors they were coming up with, unforced as well. And that's something that Bobby Goulding and all the players have got to work hard on. It's going to be difficult against Australia and New Zealand as this competition goes on.
Here's Peacock for England.
Two. Movement. Back one.
Roby waits the dummy half. And he finds Gareth Ellis.
Third. Move.
There's a lot more conversation between the players now, and in the red and white jerseys.
Peacock.
They want it more, there's urgency, they want to get on with it.
Roby to Myler, who's on a hat-trick. The ball inside to James Graham. He gets the ball away. Roby just couldn't take it in.
High five.
Well, the chances are coming. And that's brought about by the fact that the French are tiring very quickly indeed. You can see there they just can't get there in numbers. Some are down on their haunches, and they are really, really struggling. And I think that the England outfit realise now that they're ready for the kill.
Let's see Richie Myler do that a little more. Step into first receiver, demand the ball and put a play on like he just did there. We got to see it more. If he's going to justify his position ahead of Sam Tompkins, who we've just seen, he's got to step up to the plate and step into first receiver, demanding this.
Yes, he said in the build-up, didn't he, that Richard Myler, that the jersey was his. It was his to lose for the remainder of this Four Nations tournament. But the young player of the year, Sam Tompkins, watching from the sideline. Last week's man of the match in Bridgend against the Welsh. It could be that Richard Myler will come up with a hat-trick here, and he'll take the man of the match award here. Such is life. Greenshields kick.
Secured.
And gathered easily by Ryan Hall. Been quiet, Ryan Hall. They've not really got the ball out to him very much, have they? The Super League's top try scorer.
And I think you've got to put that down to the French defence both in the centres. Bale and Ragan have been pretty solid. But you can see there on that last play the ball, see how some of the French, they're making a step forward and then just stopping. They're not getting into the faces, they're waiting to see what England are doing, and that is always dangerous. That's a forward pass.
Indeed.
Forward pass half.
Well, we get away with it so often in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm not so sure that was forward, but the flat pass. The referees from down under Maybe from that angle, he's got it absolutely spot on.
Well, that's the angle that Leon Williamson would have had. It's a problem here for James Graham by the looks of things. Far more than a simple battering ram, this fellow, isn't he? He's a ball-handling forward.
Well, the thing is, he can confuse the defence because of the fact that when he stands first receiver, is he going to offload or is he just going to go running at them ferociously? So it just puts that element of doubt in the defender's mind, and that's why it's become so successful at St. Helens, and I'm sure that Tony Smith will be looking for the same throughout this competition.
He is a good front rower, mixes his game up well. The point I'm trying to make in the Sam Tompkins, Richie Myler debate is we all know how good both of them are in broken field and support play. I think it's with the one who's going to take charge of a game that's going to impress Tony Smith more. That's why I'm asking for Richie Myler, now that he's got the chance to step up at first receiver and start bossing this game.
Here's Vincent Duport. Vincent Duport, who scored the first French try. Ferriol. And it's a penalty here. They're not standing square again. He's been pretty hot on this all night, Leon Wilkinson. Not square at the play of the ball. The markers, they have to stand one behind each other, as you can see there.
Well, it's just lazy, isn't it? It's as simple as that. Jamie Peacock been around long enough to realise that the laws of the game is you've got to have both markers behind each other. Or should I say one behind anyway.
Kane Bentley's back on, and here is a run from Teddy Sadoui, the man from Carcassonne, French Cup winner in April. And now Ferriol, and he finds Bosk. Bosk fires a flat pass. England get him down eventually. And that was Tuxagas. Good strong run again. Ferriol. Kane Bentley, back it comes to Bosk. Here is James Wynn. Ooh, he thought about the offload, then thought better of it. They're setting for something down this right-hand side here. It's Bosk, and it's a long pass, and it's an interception. And here goes Ryan Hall. They won't catch him. Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall against the entire French defence. Fellows after him, but Hall is too quick. Outstanding try from Super League's top try scorer this year. Interception, took the ball under his arm, and off he went. Right the way down the touchline, as he has done so often this year in the Super League. The game's top try scorer, Ryan Hall.
And it's when you've got a 10-point lead that you can afford to take a gamble like this. If he'd have missed it, it would have been a try for the French, for sure. And he knew it as well. Bosk just couldn't see that Hall was coming into his vision. They tried everything, but he had far too much pace. Bosk just realised at the very last moment, look at the determination on this fella. He's had a wonderful season, leading try scorer, and what a moment for him.
His second try. Brian McLennan, his club coach, challenged him to make the England squad this year, and he has. And Kevin Sinfield now with the chance to add the conversion, if he possibly can. And Sinfield manages it, and Terry, that all happened right in front of you.
This looks more like a confident England side. The amount of numbers that's pushed up, they're trying to hurt the French in defence. You can see the enthusiasm now. David Ferriol trekking back. He's really upset with that.
Great try from Ryan Hall, isn't it? Pins his ears back. That's what he's done all season. All the way to the line. They were all after him. Dimitri Pello tried hard. Another 6 points for England. It's 28-12. It's a little more comfortable now.
He can't believe it, Bobby Goulding, because he knew that if Ryan Hall had missed that, it was an absolute walking for Vincent Duport.
Wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? His emotions are there for all to see.
I think he's shown in that first 40 minutes, Eddie, that he shocked a lot of people, myself included. Let's face it, there was more than my eyebrows that raised when he was awarded the job to take on the French, but he gives his heart and soul to the game. He always has done.
Well, we've got about 15 days to try and improve our long kicking, Eddie. In that time, England will play against Australia and New Zealand, and they'll have to kick the ball with greater accuracy and apply greater pressure to the opponents when they kick the ball than what they've done here tonight against France.
They will benefit for this, won't they? I mean, if this is Tony Smith's first choice 13, and there are people like Tompkins and there's other candidates, of course, who would put their hands up to play against the Aussies and the Kiwis, but if this is his first choice team, they will benefit from this run out together, surely.
I think it will help with the fact that, you know, they were behind in that first half.
I think you make a good point, Phil, about the kicking game. It's if we got our dummy half jumping out so much. Sorry.
That's a great chase. A wonderful chase.
Their kicks result in greater pressure on the England catchers than vice versa, and they've shown with variety with some of their kicks. They've challenged for more of their kicks.
This is Jean-Philippe Bale in possession for them now, 10 metres away from the England line. This is the skipper, Elima. He's held. Second tackle, plays it to Bentley. Back it comes to Bosk. Here is James Wynne. And here come the French again in the shape of Raga.
No, you're milking it.
Greenshields. Wynne comes back this way. Gets the pass away also. Oh, and that's way forward. The referee says play on, but everyone knew that was forward. And England content to take the scrum just 10 metres away from their own line.
And that was good pressure as well. Tony Smith will be a lot happier with the way that the defence have worked out. Sometimes the wingers are coming in, but there's always someone coming behind and blocking in. They failed to do that in the first half.
I'll finish the point I was trying to bumble through earlier on. It's if we see our hookers jumping out and kicking, they're either seeing something nobody else on the field can see, or else we haven't got the halves dominating. The better kickers are not dominating the call. Kevin Sinfield is a very good kicker of the ball. Let's see him do some more of these long raking kicks instead of relatively poor kicks out of dummy half.
Going into the last 10 minutes of this match, England ahead. It has not been convincing, but the second half has been a lot more promising than the first. And that's Jamie Peacock hanging on to the football for dear life. Still inside his own half of the field. Roby and Sinfield.
There's been some, that's better. There's been some very good hard work from the English forwards, and it'll just roll over just. He's been more prominent, hasn't he, in this second half. He looks a lot more comfortable. I posed a question, Eddie, before the game started, why does Kevin Sinfield, he puts it in week out for the Leeds Rhinos, and yet he struggles at international level. But I think that the change of tactics by Tony Smith in the second half, mainly not so much of where we'll position ourselves, but at least they were talking to each other. It looks now as though they know what each other is doing.
9.5 minutes to go, down to Bill.
Tony Smith is just maybe protecting his resources this evening, the way he's rotating players. Maybe explains why Sean Briscoe came off. There doesn't appear to be an injury there. Kyle Eastman going into that full back role. Intriguing to know what the story with Scott Moore. He did get a bang early on, that's been confirmed, but he's still there on the sidelines, and virtually since the 20th minute of the game, I think it was, hasn't been involved.
Well, there he is, the Huddersfield this year hooker, and he has just tied his colours to the St Helens mast until 2012. Here's another mistake from the French. Greenshield just couldn't take the pass from Thomas Bosk in.
What you're seeing though there is an attempt by France to get the fullback involved in their attacking play, and I think if England were critical tonight, it's their inability to get the fullback involved often enough when they've had possession and they're attacking. The fullback role now is arguably the most important position. He links so much as Eastman takes on the ball there. But I think over the next 2 or 3 weeks, England will need the fullback to be far more dangerous in possession.
You're right, and especially with a player like Kyle Eastman playing fullback.
Yes, he's on for Sean Briscoe in this second half. There's Roby. Roby to Peacock. Peacock looking to spin and get the ball away.
I think Tony Smith will be happy with the way that their forwards have worked hard. Morley, Peacock, as I say, Ellis has certainly done a lot of hard work. Burgess early in the game, and then Lee Smith makes the break.
He does. And Burgess is a dummy half. He gets it to Sinfield. And Sinfield takes them on, but loses it.
There'll be a knock-on, head and feet to the French.
The referee, frustration boiling. The referee, when that ball went to ground, said play on, and then he realised it was in English arms and blew the whistle and brought them back.
Well, I think there was a very bad tackle on Kevin Sinfield. I'm guessing from here, on first view, it would have been David Ferriol who came in. We've just got to it a bit too late. Add to that, the fact he's dropped on him with his elbow. That should, in my opinion, be a sin bin. He should leave the field for 10 minutes.
Instead of a sin bin, that should be a red card, shouldn't it?
I'm with you, Eddie. We can do without that. David Ferriol. The tackle had been completed. There was no momentum going forward from Kevin Sinfield.
Why would you do that with 8 minutes to go? There's nothing tough about that.
Just took a bit of advice then from the video referee tonight, Phil Bentham.
Oh, it was a shocker. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a red card.
Well, he's calling the captain over.
Fair on the tackle ball area there. He's gone down and dropped delivery with the elbow. The penalty's going against you. Don't continue on afterwards, all right? Come on, don't spoil it now. You had that down there. You had that down there. It didn't happen over here.
Penalty to England. And he's a lucky boy, David Ferriol. Although we might hear more on this.
Well, he did the crunch, and it was sufficient. I mean, that is stupidity. It really is.
But you got the penalty. You've got the elbow going down there. What I don't need you is carrying on with it and flaring up to what it's just about almost did. Okay, Jamie? All right. Incident's on report there.
It's on report now.
Penalties for you.
And that could have repercussions for David Ferriol in this tournament.
What are you doing?
And repercussions for his coach, Bobby Goulding, as well. He's one of his mainline front row forwards, David Ferriol. He needs him against Australia and New Zealand.
I'm going to say they don't have a great deal of depth and the experience brought forward in Ferriol, and well, I'd be surprised if he escapes after that one. I mean, it was a shocker.
Of course, Jerome Guisset has announced his international career is over. So they will be a little bit light if things go badly later in the week. This is Burgess. He's over. Sam Burgess. No, has he? It's well, he's just called on Phil Bentham to make a decision about, or at least offer advice about the challenge on Sinfield. Now Phil Bentham has to make the decision about this.
I think he's got it down. It's a great effort.
The referee called on him after he actually disallowed it, and he for knocked on.
Oh, now then. As his fingers, I think his fingers have left the ball, so therefore it is a knock-on. If he'd have had a fingertip on it, and I don't think he has, then this will be turned down, I feel. It was a marvellous effort. No, he just loses it. I'll be surprised if Phil Bentham gives this, but the name of Phil Bentham over the past couple of weeks, not many Christmas cards coming around, I would imagine, for him, but it's a big decision, but I would turn this down. Good effort, though, by Burgess. When England was struggling in the opening 20 minutes, Burgess certainly would have...
I'm going no try.
Am I in the minority here?
Yes, I'm going no try.
No,
I think he's lost control, hasn't he?
He's got to have control.
You don't have to have control, you have to have downward pressure on the ball.
I don't think he has.
Downward pressure on the ball off the inside of your arm, outside of your arm. Let's see. Phil Bentham says, no try.
I think he's got it right.
There we go, and that's for our French viewers. And our French players and coaches, and Bobby, correct?
Just going back to, it's a disappointing thing for Bobby. He's lost Remy Casti now for the rest of this tournament, and he could lose Ferriol as well. It's disappointing. It's poor discipline. It's dumb play.
Well, it is when you talk about they are their main forwards. They depend so much on it, and messing around there by James Roby. And I think James Roby realised that he could have been penalised for that as well, which he was, but not interference, but also using the forearm, getting a little bit tasty out there. And I think when we went down to Bill Arthur in regards to Scott Moore, as soon as James Roby came on, I think he was making a point. I wanted this position.
This is Martin, who plays the ball to Bentley, who really makes a difference whenever he is on the field, doesn't he, the hooker? There's Bentley again. This is Wynne. And Teddy Sadoui. James Wynne once again for the French. Long pass, Bosque. And again, Green Shields. Then on the inside to Dimitri Pello. Great little run of this fellow. We play the ball quickly. Jean-Philippe Bale going for the line. He's over, but he is held up.
Good work there.
Good defence.
Kyle Eastman went right underneath him, but again, we see the opportunities of Dimitri Pello. Took it on the fly. Oh, I did well, didn't he, Eastman? Come to daddy, he says, you ain't getting that ball now. Doesn't have much to do, and going to be forced back into the full-back position.
Well, no matter what happens in the remaining 5 minutes of this match, the French have certainly justified their inclusion in the Four Nations, haven't they, this year? First up game against England. They probably, a little bit like Papua New Guinea last year in the World Cup, they probably targeted this match rather than the two that are to come against Australia and New Zealand, albeit that they will be played on home soil. But, I mean, this has been a good scrap for England, this, and the French gave them a real fright in the first half. They played really well.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call.
That's good work from Burgess. Great pass to Lee Smith. He has support with him.
Oh, he should have passed Sinfield on the inside. He would have raced right underneath the post. A little bit greedy there from Lee Smith, I feel, and now they've got the penalty for messing around from Kane Bentley. He shakes his head. Yeah, there's little doubt Bobby Goulding, he pinpointed the England game. This will be our chance for glory. 30 minutes it was.
What an offload that was from Morley. Found Roby, this is Graham, here is Maguire. England looking to finish with a flourish. Maguire hits the deck. Ryan Hall already has one this second half, looking for another.
Hold.
Now Roby. Fires the pass, Myler. Sinfield. Eastman. Nice little kick through. Beautiful kick. And a try for Tom Briscoe. But the French asked the referee to hand it upstairs. And Leon Williamson wants to check whether Tom Briscoe was onside as he chased that kick through. It was a beautiful dab through by Kyle Eastman. Watch this. Fabulous. And he's a mile onside.
You talk about quality. Star quality. This kid has heaps. For him to realise that there was nowhere to go as far as he was concerned, there was no one at home, and he punched the ball through with the boot. And Tom Briscoe, this will be TRY, and it is.
Try is given by Phil Bentham, and Eastman's kick was a delight, and Tom Briscoe's finish was exceptional. And on the ground where he scored a try in the Challenge Cup semi-final last year for the Black and Whites of Hull FC, Tom Briscoe comes up with a debut try, or rather a try on his third appearance for England.
Beautiful offload by Burgess, wasn't it? Back on the inside, a little bit too greedy there by Lee Smith. He knew he had his skipper back on the inside, or last year's skipper, of course. Smith going to Rugby Union after this competition, but this is superb. Sheer quality. He says thank you.
And Sinfield adds the extras. Quality, Barry.
I mentioned building pressure about 10-15 minutes ago. The Aussies and the Kiwis, they'll be sat at home watching this TV saying, yeah, we know that you can score tries, but can you build pressure? Can you break a team down?
Well, let me get the statistic absolutely right. This is Tom Briscoe's third try in 2 internationals. And that's outstanding kick from Eastman and great reaction from the young man on the wing. Tom Briscoe, he missed 4 months with an ankle injury this year, and he's come back with a bang at the back end of the season.
It was a great example of how you need in modern day rugby league your full-back to get involved in attacking players. Good work by Eastman, and it makes it now 30 points to 0 to England in the second half. With still just over 2 minutes to go, they could possibly add to that.
You know, this little cameo role from Eastman is going to give Tony Smith an awful lot to think about. He saved a try on one end, getting underneath the ball, and he's shown a bit of spark and a bit of inventive play that we've been missing in this game just there for that try.
is quality, we know that. It's positional that we have to look at. Well, I think that is more beneficial not having to point the people around the park, playing half-back, I think is more influential, either playing in centre or even on the wing or at full-back.
Will he start off the bench next week?
Well, Jean-Philippe Bale has just caught Richie Myler, isn't it, with a good old right hook. He was...
Yeah, he stepped, and that was a shocker.
Well, that's as bad as the elbow.
Without it, and that is a shocker. This is bad. That is not what we want to bring to our game, I'm afraid. And that could have done severe damage to the talented halfback Richie Myler.
Happy with that.
And he's in pain. Looks like there's a bit of claret there, which doesn't surprise me. Well, the discipline has to be sorted out by Bobby Golding. I mean, the combination of those errors, when at a time when they had control of this game in that first half, they were still coming out with errors, giving away silly penalties and knocking on. And he knows that it's getting to a desperate stage now for Bobby Golding and the French outfit. But that was a shocker from Jean-Philippe Bale.
Yeah. Poor attempt at a tackle. Let's give credit now that we've seen France.
Referee wants a word. Myler is sitting up, which is good news, but yeah, we credited France in the first half. I think they've had a couple of demerit points in the second, Brian.
Yeah, poor discipline there, but we know how many players they're missing and what key players they're missing. Had they been out there tonight, it would have been very, very interesting. It gives them hope for the future. Like, Bobby's obviously worked hard.
Well, it was always going to be a problem, wasn't it, in regards to could they last the full 80, and I think it's shown there.
No, I don't need to, mate. We're doing something else. That's fine, mate.
When Myler is on his feet, which is very good news. But Jean-Philippe Bale could be in a spot of bother here.
Just go over there and join your team.
The captain's there, and the offender is there.
I know. Yep.
Well, he's got to put this on report as well.
Okay, Olivier. Quite clearly, he's made contact around the head area. He's off.
He's off. It's a send-off.
That's his first penalty, sir.
Well, there's no red card from Leon Williamson, but Jean-Philippe Bale is sent from the field, and I must say, on the evidence of what we saw rightly, I must say that Mr. Williamson, well, that's good. That is good to see. Jean-Philippe Bale just checking with Richard Myler as he came off the field that he's okay, and the two men shaking hands. No ill feeling, but Jean-Philippe Bale, well, he has a date with the disciplinary department now. And as I say, the referee took an eternity, waited for all that to sort itself out, and then he sent the man off the field. I suppose he was waiting to see the full implications of the Myler injury. Whether that matters or not, I don't know.
It was a bad one, and it deserved a send-off.
Here's Sinfield, looking to finish the game with a flourish now. England in the last minute, looking to make it to the 40-point mark. They go wide. This is Burgess, who has lost it, and it's a knock-on. I must say, it's not been vintage England, but it's been a much better second half. It has, though, been very scrappy in parts, this match.
It had to be as well, and I think a lot of frustration. But the guy in your picture now, Sam Burgess, I think he's been head and shoulders above everybody. Seriously, he really has worked both in attack and defence. He's come up with some nice touches. We always knew that he had the quality, and he's certainly shown it tonight. I think the forwards have been good. They've worked hard. We've still got a lot to do, though.
Well, England assault on the Four Nations Trophy is underway. They have won by 34 points to 12. They have won the second half by 30 points to 0. They trailed 12-4 at half-time. There was a real wake-up call for England in that first half. But then Myler with 2 tries, Sinfield, Hall with a 90-metre effort, and Briscoe, after a delightful chip through from Kyle Eastman, they wrapped up the victory in style in the second half. But as I say, that's on a score sheet in style. But as far as the performance is concerned, well, a little scratchy and plenty to build on for Tony Smith.